Hello, folks. Let me pop over here so y'all can see us, so you can see our smiley faces. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Adobe Live. Let us know how our audio levels are today. Very excited to get this show on the road. My name is VooDoo Val, and I am joined here today by my very good friend, Cody Bear. How are you, Cody?
I am fantastic, Val. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. Today's a special day. Because number one, I've been gone a little while, and now we get to get back into drawing a blank. Number two, we've got some pretty exciting stuff happening on Adobe Live in general today, which I'm sure a lot of you have noticed, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But first, I would love to welcome all of you back if you were hanging out for our excellent spotlight just a few moments ago. And welcome in if you are new, if you've never watched Drawing a Blank. This is the show where Cody and I present you with a pretty cool prompt, similar to what you see down below our webcams here, a little three-part prompt. And you folks get to vote throughout the stream on various elements of the projects we put together. So today we are going to be talking all about type because we are kind of in a partnership with Good Type and Women of Type, as you may have noticed from some of our earlier streams. Got some pretty cool stuff going on today, and I'm sure we can get those links in the chat. Robert says, will it be Montserrat today? Val, no, maybe, I don't know. Montserrat's one of my favorite fonts, and I don't care what anybody
Who
says.
knows?
It could be, it could not be. We could make up some letters today, you know,
hmm
it could be anything at all. But yeah, check out all the stuff going on with Women of Type and Good Type. We're going to have a pretty interesting interview later today if you'd like to learn more about them and what they're all about. It's kind of a takeover day for all of that. And to start us off, not only do we have a prompt, which we will take a peek at, but we also have some words from our partnership friends. So I'm going to pop over there and we're going to take a little look-see at what they have to say.
Let's merge the worlds of type and illustration by creating some illustrated letters. Can you share some techniques for how you could add dimension, shading, or anything else that'll really make our letter feel like a work of art? Let's merge the worlds of type and
Nice.
illustration by
All
creating
right, I'm
some
going to pop
illustrated
back
letters.
over here. So basically we're going to be going over, you know, ways that we can add dimension, shading, and things to an illustration of a letter that can make it look like a work of art. We've been talking a lot today in various streams about typefaces, fonts, and all that good stuff, but Cody and I are illustrators. We like to paint. We like to paint things.
Yes.
So we're going to be choosing a letter today to illustrate for you guys according to this prompt. This is the first letter of a spooky or fantasy story. So all you fairy tale fans out there, if you've ever seen like a classic fairy tale book, usually that first letter of the first word is kind of like an illustration of sorts. It's kind of going to be an interesting take on that, or just like a cool poster of a letter. The silhouette is very bold or elegant in design, and our color scheme includes purple or orange. Surprise,
No shocker
surprise!
there. Yeah.
Very, very surprising. Thank you, Jack, for getting those links in the chat. Definitely take a look at Good Type and Women of Type. So yeah, we're going to get our first poll of the day into the YouTube chat. If you're watching over on YouTube, rest assured you will see the poll pop up at the top of your chat where you can cast your vote between spooky or fantasy. And if you are watching on Behance, I suggest going over to YouTube, popping out that chat if you want to remain on Behance, and just kind of creating yourself a little voting module. And to start this off, I'm going to do a little scribble scrabble here,
hmm
and maybe, Cody, we can kind of start talking about where we might take some influence for this, because this is going to be an illustration of letters rather than a focus on like a particular font, because we're going to, no matter what
hmm
we do, we're going to make it our own. Um,
Yeah.
do you think that you will draw a letter completely from scratch, or do you think you might reference from a font and change it?
I think I'll probably reference from a font and kind of just like edit it and make it my own. Mainly because I am terrible at hand lettering. Like, it is certainly not my forte.
Hmm. Hmm.
So like I am just not imaginative when it comes to fonts. So I kind of need that, let's call it a guide, maybe like a template a little bit to kind of just like get me going. And
Yeah.
then, I'll kind of like edit it as I go. And plus for me, like I don't really know how I'm going to illustrate it. I guess we'll figure that out as we get our prompts in. But um yeah, I guess it's gonna change throughout the stream. I can't really give a definitive answer right now because I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants today.
And that's okay. I think, at least for this show, kind of the point is we are signing ourselves up to fly by the seat of our pants.
Yeah.
We do have a font, but really the chat gets to kind of dictate a lot of what we do. I'm snagging some fonts that I really, really love. And I am I don't know why my font. I don't know if you guys are noticing my little font is doing a dance here. I have my fonts panel open and all my fonts are like, "Hey, girl," jumping around. Not sure what that is about, but it's okay with me. And I'm just kind of pulling up some fonts that I really love. Some of these you may have seen me use before in various projects, and some of them are fonts that I have not yet had the opportunity to use. But I feel like today's the day, you know?
Yeah.
Today's the day to show them off. There's one in here that I really, really want to grab. Oh, there's one called Fairy Tale. When did I get a font called Fairy Tale? That's perfect for today. It's like a black letter, but not quite. It's a little softer,
Hmm.
a little friendlier. Because black letter always makes me feel like I'm about to I've committed a crime in medieval times,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I'm in
Yeah.
I'm in deep trouble.
Your goods are forfeit.
Exactly. Khajiit had wares, but I did not have coin,
Exactly.
and it went poorly. There's one that I kind of want to snag that's like, I think it starts with a G. I'm past the G's now, but I mean maybe what I have is decent enough right now. I've got some pretty cool ones. I have a font called Arkham, and it's
Nice.
exactly what it sounds like, or it looks like it should be the typeface for Arkham Asylum,
Nice.
which is really great. Let me get
This
one
third
more.
font that I have in my list here is actually my handwriting, so I don't know if I want to
It's
use that or not,
so
but we'll
good.
see. It kind of looks like Comic Sans.
It kind of
I
looks
don't
like Comic
I don't know
Sans,
how I feel about it.
but more cute. It's definitely cuter than Comic
Cute
Sans.
Sans.
Yeah, Cody Kawaii Sans. Juniper is kind of cool. Juniper is very bold and interesting. Um, all right, let's take a peek at our poll. It looks like fantasy is winning, though not by much. Not by
Mm.
much, honestly. We've got 42% for spooky, 58% for fantasy, and I will give you guys just a few more moments with that poll in the YouTube chat, Adobe Live YouTube channel, so that you folks can cast your remaining opinions, and then we will dive into it. I feel like I have a lot of really good choices. I feel like I have like a couple. I've got the font that we use for our overlays. Not that
Yeah.
that one's really going to be chosen, but I just put it up there.
It's wacky.
It's very wacky. Looks like I wrote it in a rush, but I have some that are like very bold, like a heavy weight, and then I have Arkham that is elegant but also quite sinister. And I'm thinking
Hmm.
maybe, honestly, I will duplicate and I'm gonna make one of them the Lust font, because the Lust font is incredibly elegant. And this is
Oh
one.
yeah, the Lust font is
It's
awesome.
gorgeous. It's so gorgeous, and I like the Lust font because it's elegant. But I'm kind of trying to keep in mind as I go through these fonts that I want to choose one that is cool, but I'm also going to need a font that looks good as like only one letter or maybe
Yeah.
just a few letters. I feel like you and I can kind of choose whether we want to do one single letter or maybe a few, maybe a word. But I was
Mhm.
thinking of one single letter in my head, and I feel like Lust has these beautiful, thin, elegant portions, but then it still has these bold elements to each
Mhm.
symbol that will allow me to get some cool illustration going in there. Um, all right, it looks like fantasy has won, and I'm
Wow.
loving it. Wow, yeah. Um, this is
I'm actually
a
surprised.
point for Cody today. Typically, our prompts are kind of split down the middle, which with things that resemble more of my brand and things that resemble more of Cody's brand, and we end up delving into each other's worlds as we go through. All right, cool. So we're gonna go with a fantasy theme today. Also, welcome in Megan Sanchez, Ray Lancaster, Ablu. It's good to see you. Adventures from Canada. It's good to have you in the chat with us. I see KJ. KJ says, "How many fonts do you think you have loaded?" Oh my gosh, I don't know. Do you look
I
at
don't
your
have
fonts?
too many.
Yeah, I don't have a
Okay.
lot.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't use a lot of words. Maybe. Um, Jacob, welcome in. The best duo.
Hey
You are
Jacob.
too sweet, too kind. Um, but yeah, I would say that I do have quite a lot of fonts installed. Most of which are Adobe fonts,
Mhm.
and you kind of have to have them because I think as an illustrator, you end up doing a lot of different stuff throughout your career, right? Like, because I prefer to illustrate dark fantasy illustrations, but sometimes you got to design a logo or two or put together a branding package for some,
Mhm.
and you just pick up fonts along the way. It just happens, you know. Um, so I have like it's like a graveyard of fonts that I used the once. Oh yeah, go into Adobe Fonts.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
If you
yes,
guys are
yes.
looking for fonts, feel free to head over to Adobe Fonts, fonts.adobe.com. I usually go to
I'm
browse
full screening
all.
you, by the way, so you can
Sweet.
show it off.
And we can, if you guys look, they even have like a seasonal section too. So you have all of these options to like look through different settings when you're searching for fonts, so you don't feel overwhelmed. Like you get to like kind of narrow it down to exactly what you're looking for. But yeah, they even have a little Halloween section.
Mm-hmm.
Here, let's open up all of our sections here. So we even have like a black letter section that could be great for fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Even the shaded, these ones. Let's check out black letter. I'm feeling a little medieval today,
Yeah.
maybe.
I'm loving these too because these not only are they like your standard black letter, but like that JAF herb or whatever, I feel like it was very friendly almost. We have
Hmm.
like the Metalista there in the center that's very
Yeah,
like
yeah,
very uniform. But then you also have
yeah,
stuff like Baroque where that's kind of that like this is the first letter
yeah.
of a fairy tale.
Storybook.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love it. There's so much you can do with black letter. Um,
yeah.
Search fantasy in the top search bar. That's a great idea. This is from Ari, who I believe is on the Adobe Fonts team, if I'm
Oh,
not
nice.
mistaken. So thank you for the
Ooh.
tips. Also, Ari has a beautiful singing voice. I don't know if anybody
Oh.
needed to know that, but I wanted you to know it. This
There
is
is a font called
great.
Aragon.
Uh-oh.
Fantastic. Oh
Uh-oh.
no.
Oh no. I'm Fell English is just a
Oof.
funny name to me. Near Myth is killing me though. Oh, or gosh, that's great. I
I love this one.
I love that we get to see like the little like posters and things that have been made
Yes.
to kind of show you the possibilities of using each font. Sometimes it's things like that that actually convince me that a font is worthwhile because
Absolutely.
I don't choose fonts very well.
Yeah.
I'm not that's not like really in my wheelhouse because I'm used to drawing everything from scratch. So selecting assets, I sometimes can't tell the difference between liking something and something pairing well with another element.
Yeah.
So seeing them in use it kind of clicks in my brain. So if you have difficulty pairing fonts, choosing fonts, definitely click into the fonts that you favor to see how the designers are using them.
Yeah, it helps a lot to be able to see things in context
Mhm.
and be like, okay, I see how this could be used in a poster or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I saw one. I was like, I don't know if I like this. And I clicked into it, and it was like the font for a set of tarot cards. And I was like, actually,
Oh
this
yeah.
is my favorite.
Yeah.
Also, gosh, it's a close call again between bold and elegant. For those of you who have not already, definitely check out our poll over on the Adobe Live YouTube channel. If you want to stay on Behance, pop out that YouTube chat and make yourself a little voting module. We are voting, rather, the vibe we're going to go through for our fantasy font is going to be bold or elegant. So please cast your votes. We're going to put a stop to that second of 3 polls pretty soon. I've kind of made a choice. I'm going to go back to our little split screen here. I've kind of made a choice between one literally called Fairy Tale
Nice.
JF. It's like a black letter, but it's a little rounder, a little more friendly. And I've also kind of playing with the Lorem Ipsum here for Lust font, because it does
Nice.
have that elegance. And I feel like whichever the vote goes, one of these would make a great thing. Another thing to keep in mind as we go through is, I kind of mentioned earlier, like you want a font that is going to give you some room to add some design elements as we start to add depth and dimension to this. I would also recommend taking a peek at the glyphs.
That's a
for
very
your
good
font.
point. Yes.
Yeah, glyphs are a big deal. The Lust font, I believe, is an Adobe font, and the Lust font has like, I want to say it has like 10 versions of every letter. Like you have to really scroll through. It's got different versions of every number. It's got little motifs and flourishes to add. It's got different versions of all punctuation and different symbols for various languages. So if we wanted to really kind of jump in here and find something super cool to do, there's a lot of options. If you're at home and you would like to participate in this little artsy challenge with us, I recommend using the Lust font. Also, what letter are you doing?
I don't know. I was actually going to ask you that. What I haven't decided. I guess I think I'm going to go with this Orb Pro font because it's bold and fantasy-esque, I think. And I guess it depending on how I edit it, it could also look elegant too. I think it looks elegant.
Yeah.
It kind of fits the bill here, but I'm kind of like going through the glyphs now that you mentioned that, and I'm gonna check out the different options for the letters and see if there's any like cool swooshies or anything like that I want to add or something. But yeah, I haven't decided what letter to go with yet.
Alrighty. Let us know in the chat if you folks have any ideas. I'm trying to keep myself away from just going with a capital V.
Right.
Your girl could. She really could. But would that be, too cliche?
Maybe I think I'm gonna pick a few and then I'm gonna have chat vote which ones they think or which one they think I should do.
That's a great idea. I'm gonna grab my V here and kind of add one there. It looks like elegant is officially winning, so we are doing kind of an elegant fantasy letter. And I think that this can go either way, because I feel like my font that I've chosen is definitely elegant. And yours is more bold. However, like that Q looks very elegant, and also
That's
the
what I was
elegance,
thinking.
it could come in to play like how you actually decide to illustrate this, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
was thinking about adding some filigree in and things just like detail and just editing the font
yeah,
to, of course, because our goal is to illustrate the font, right? It's not, we're not just landing at picking a font. So,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't even know what this is, but I like it. It's like a, honestly, it looks like two F's and an I. I have no idea. Latin small ligature FF. Okay. Latin small letter F. Okay,
Oh,
they are
Jack
F's.
suggested the ampersand, which I think is actually pretty cool in this
Ooh.
one. I like
Okay.
that.
Let me. I'm gonna try an ampersand as well. Uh, Not bad. Oh, and there's various versions of the ampersand. Oh. Oh, yours is really good too. It
Yeah,
looks
I kind of like it.
it looks like an autumn leaf in a way.
Yeah,
You know? Like the way that the ends curl and curve, it looks like a leaf
yeah,
that's kind of dried, and I like it.
it's kind of cool. That's very
Um,
fantasy. Leaves
Very,
are
very
fantasy.
fantasy. Very fantasy. I might also go with this IJ. I don't know. Also, our next poll is choosing whether we are adding purple or orange to our design. And then we are going to start kind of getting into how we might detail and add a little depth and dimension to these letters. Also, how are we doing on time? Oh, we're not even halfway through the show.
We
This
got
is great.
plenty of time.
We have so much time to hang out. This is going to be great. Um, you can select to show font images in the overall view as well. Yeah, and I like all of the ways to search for things on
Hmm.
Adobe Fonts. I honestly, I'm never disappointed. And I feel like the organization of the site in general just allows me to feel a lot more comfortable and confident when it comes to things that honestly I avoid till the last minute because I don't like to do.
Yeah,
You know?
for sure. You guys, I can't decide. I'm leaning towards the ampersand or the Q, or I have these four up here that I don't know. I have a C, of course, because Cody,
Cody.
but I
Honestly, I
just
love that cue. I'm gonna be
yeah,
honest.
the Q is all swooshy, you know?
Yeah, that's actually really beautiful. The C is not bad though. Like I feel like the C is the most plain, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also plain isn't fair
It could be
because
added to.
yeah. I think I'm gonna go with this FL
Oh, cool.
glyph because it looks just interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be the vibe. And I'm gonna start kind of brainstorming how I'll fill this in. Poll is 50-50. It sure is. Oh, purple's pulling through. It doesn't have as many votes as the previous ones, though, so I won't be selfish. I go for purple. I'll let you guys have a few more moments. Again, if you would like to vote in the poll and participate, please go ahead and head over to the YouTube channel where you can check out the poll and cast your votes for purple or orange. I may add some elements to this because I feel that while Lust is a great font, it also has some elements of it that I feel could be a little smoother for this glyph, such as the points on the F are very harsh compared to how flourishy everything else is.
Mm.
And so I'm going to add some drawn elements that's going to smooth that out to kind of customize my glyph. Oh yeah, that ampersand is chef's kiss, truly.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and use the clear. Oh, I can just hit tilde key. That's a little tip for you folks. If you would like to use the, I believe it's the tilde key. Yeah. If you guys would like to use the clear function while you are illustrating with a Photoshop brush, clear meaning you can erase with that brush shape. A lot
Right.
of us are probably using some brushes that they don't really have an eraser version. Have you seen that? Where it's like it's
Yes.
solidly a brush. That's, you
Yeah.
know, and you can't flip to eraser and then switch to it. So if you hold the tilde key down, it will actually um, use the shape of your brush to subtract from whatever you've put down on your canvas, like an eraser. And it has saved my life many a time. It's one of my favorite
Nice.
features. Although I do wish that I could set it as like a hotkey,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't. Can't do it that way, unfortunately. All right. Tina Vimbo, welcome in. Thank you so much. Robert is saying a purple to orange gradient. Don't tempt us. Don't don't tempt us, friend. We would both love that.
A part of
Guadalupe.
me.
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
just welcome in Guadalupe. Thank you for joining
Hi.
us. What were you saying?
Sorry, I'm just like thinking out loud here. Part of me is wondering if I should frame this letter and kind of like how they do in like old fantasy novels where, you know, there's
Mhm.
like filigree like filled in on the box and the letter is actually kind of like the negative space inside of that.
That's a great idea. I was wondering if I'm gonna like, because I kind of we kind of have that option, right, where we can either illustrate within the confines of the letter, or we can add tons of design elements around it and make it something larger than life. And your
Mhm.
sketch is perfect. I can already visualize what it is you're going for. And I am going to actually, I'm going to group my letter and the sketch that I did. I'm going to group that. I'm going to convert it to a smart object, and then I'm going to use a mask to come in and subtract more thoroughly from to and from the shape, like kind of add additions and take away from it as I see fit.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Also, if anybody checked out the last episode of Drawing a Blank that Cody and I were both on, because you did a solo show recently, correct?
Correct.
Um,
Yes.
which you guys should check out because it was great. I made like a little palette knife brush and I'm still using it. It's stuck around.
Nice.
Yeah. That's good enough for me. I don't even know if this really reads as what it was supposed to be originally anymore, but it sure is a cool shape.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to use. I do believe. And it looks like purple is still winning. We have 18 votes and 56% for purple. So we're going to go with purple.
Okay.
Let me go ahead. We've got we still have half the show to go. This is so great. We got 30 minutes to paint this in, and I am ecstatic.
So my question to you, Val, is do you plan on doing kind of more the filigree route, or do you plan on going like the more like I'm gonna draw like fantasy items within this shape kind of route?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I was thinking of like abstract shapes and stuff to fill in the negative space that
Yeah.
kind of echo familiar items, you know, like
Uh-huh.
I was thinking stuff that looks like foliage and things,
Yes.
you know, which is probably something that we both thought of, you know, when considering this challenge for sure.
Yeah.
But I kind of want them to be separate from the style that I go for when it comes to illustrating the actual letter. Because to
Yeah.
our question, which we received earlier in the stream, we kind of want to give these letters an amount of depth and dimension that the rest of the piece maybe doesn't have. I mean, you can interpret it however you want, Cody, but for me, I wanted like drawn elements around it to make it more of a full like poster piece, and then the
Yeah.
letter itself to be like more heavily detailed. Um, so I guess it's up to your own interpretation of how that could go, but I think it's going to be more like line art stuff that looks really cool around it.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can do a little bloop bloop. That's a thing, right? A bloop bloop.
It's a technical term.
Thank you.
Industry standard.
Okay.
Technical term.
Perfect. Perfect. Appreciate you. I would also love to know if anybody else in the chat has fake words and or sounds to describe things that they do artistically, because sometimes your girl, I don't remember what it's called, and I gotta make up a sound for it. That's just how it goes. Man, I did that. That actually looks really good.
Oh, I like that. Yes.
I'm freehanding most of this, and I can't believe it. I guess I do have my smoothing on a little bit, but honestly...
Oh, yes, smoothing. I should turn that on.
Smoothing does not always come to your rescue. If you have never used smoothing before, word of advice when it comes to using it, the more smoothing you have on, the less you can be really bold with your strokes as far as like how you're pressing ink to paper. And I know it's digital, but like that's just kind of how I think about it in my head. For example, if I have my brush, let's make a new layer. I'm going to turn smoothing all the way down, and I can pretty much scribble, right? If I do exactly what I just did, back to 34% on that smoothing, you see how it's not as broad? It used to cover this whole area, but fast movements don't often reach as far when you have your smoothing on. So you're going to have to really, really go slow and be precise about what you're doing with the smoothing on, the higher that percentage is. So you gotta take your time, you gotta breathe a little bit, and if you don't, the help that you could derive from the smoothing feature will feel as if it is all for naught. So take a breath. All right. I like these little shapes and doohickeys.
Doohickeys, yes, indeed. The
Yeah.
fantasy doohickeys. You need those.
You do. That's where the magic comes from. That's where the magic happens. That's how. I'm liking them. I feel like it needs a little more oomph. But what I really want to do is start to detail my letter itself. So I'm only going to spend a little more time on this, and then I will return to the design elements later after I add a little more depth. So I believe this is my, yep, there it is. I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to, surprise, surprise, use a clipping mask. No one's ever seen me do that before. That's wild. And I am going to kind of paint into this. Also, something that I'm thinking about is that my shape, it's like in italics, and it kind of makes, if I center it, if I really center it truly, it seems off center. So I might have to make it not actually centered in effort to make it not look like there's a bunch of empty space against the slant.
Yeah, sometimes being optically centered is more important than actually using the grid. That's why it's, it's really important to zoom out on your canvas and make sure that what you're doing like looks right.
Yes, 100%. And I'm sure you folks have felt that if you have ever tried to, for example, center a logo for a branding piece or something like that, or add a design element to a circle in any way, because sometimes like you got your snapping grids on, that it's a certain way, but the brain does not always interpret things as they are. And you can see this definitely prominently in, if there's any illustrators out there in the chat, you get this a lot as people kind of start their artistic journey, where they use a photo as a reference point for a piece. And you tell them, oh, the anatomy in this does not look right. I don't think that his arm would do this, or I don't think that her leg or the turn in her head would do that. And the person will say, well, the photograph I was referencing, that's exactly how they were positioned. So why doesn't it look the same in the illustration? That's because photographs have an element of reality that they lend itself to the viewer, that even if something looks odd, we will accept it as correct because it is a photo. And you can't get away with that in illustration, because as soon as they look at an illustration and know that it's not like real evidenced life, anything that looks odd immediately looks wrong. So this might be centered literally, but that does not mean it's centered to everyone who looks upon it.
Yeah.
Welcome in, Ted Chin.
Hi,
Now
Ted.
it's a party. Welcome in. Fiza Sultan, welcome in. Are you guys using Wacom tablets? I'm using a Wacom Cintiq 16 HD. What are you using, Cody?
I am using a Wacom Intuos Pro, and this is a medium size.
Ooh. I recommend, at least from my experience, I've truly enjoyed using the product. However, you do not have to have, because mine, you paint on the screen. Don't let that discourage you from creating. If you do not have fancy equipment, you can start with anything. You can start with pencil and paper. You can start with a secondhand, out of date tablet with no screen on it, like I did. I got like a hand-me-down from someone in my family who also did art, and that was my tablet for the first half of my career.
Nice.
I ran that baby into the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. I am attempting to create a fade of sorts with my background and my shape. And I don't yet know if I'm going to use these exact colors just yet, but I am enjoying the possibilities. It's not quite purple. That's definitely purple. There we go. We're gonna see about this. Let's try this too. What is this? Uh-oh. I'm sure I've said this before, but sometimes the power of a green and purple combo just calls to my soul.
Yes. What do you mean sometimes?
makes you want to shout Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide on like the perfect combo. That might be the move. I guess.
Woo! That green is sweet.
It's very it's sweet and quite sour, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some purple. There's some purple in there. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. I don't know. It's pretty saturated. I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna see how that goes. And honestly, you know what I might also do? So this happens to me sometimes. If I start choosing colors way too soon, I eventually get weirdly discouraged with what I'm doing because I'm
Mm,
trying to draw my piece and choose a color for my piece at the same time, and I get kind of like overloaded with those decisions that I have to make.
yeah.
So sometimes I just turn it to grayscale, which you can do in a couple of ways. I'm going to freeze full screen mine real quick just to kind of show this little tip. So I have got, let me go into my second mode here. I have duplicated, if I pull my layers over here, I have duplicated that layer, that clipping mask of the color, and I could just go Control U to open the hue and saturation and suck the saturation out of that. I'm sure there's any number of adjustment layers that you could add to it that would also make it grayscale, so I can just continue to work in black and white and then choose my colors later and apply them with blending modes. But I've got this little trick that I love to do, which I believe it was Stevie Ray Drawn back in the
Oh, nice.
day that taught me how to do this, and I have been using this in my workflow forever, and that is to create yourself your very own hotkey to flip from color to grayscale like I'm doing
Hmm.
right here. And no matter what, even when you are in grayscale, if I sample my color, grab like a harder brush, I am still painting in color. It's just I'm not seeing it. So I can check my values of my illustration throughout. And you do
Hmm.
that by going to View, Proof Setup, Custom, and changing Device to Simulate to Working Gray, dot gain 20%, hitting OK, and then your Control Y or Command Y, if you're working on a Mac, will be toggling between color and grayscale. So highly recommend for those of you who are illustrators and need to check your values. Also highly recommend for those of you who are just graphic designers and are maybe putting together a graphic flyer.
Hmm.
And maybe it looks super messy and you don't know why it looks super messy to you. So I feel like you could benefit from checking your values as well. Because sometimes value is not just an illustration tool to kind of keep in the toolbox. I think value affects us all.
Definitely.
I've kind of got this idea that I might do like a internal outline like I'm doing on the outside of my letters. I'm actually going to do this in white first so that I can keep track of how I'm doing it. And then I'm going to shade, like we were talking about earlier, kind of answering the question of adding dimension to a piece. I'm going to shade to either side of the lines that I'm putting to make it look like it's a carved divot into
Cool.
the letter, I think is what I'm going to do. Because I think that would be sick. Story goes, didn't know you were supposed to press too hard on the screen. This is a Prova, by the way. Scratched with my pencil as if it was newsprint and got all those scratches. Oh
Oh
no!
no, that's awful.
Oh no! That sucks. You know what though? I don't blame you for that, because when you're working with new tech for the first time, that happens, you know. Sometimes you're
Yeah.
just not prepared. I've done a few things in my day, which I will not I will not brag about because they are embarrassing. Using technology for the first time and just like really being unprepared for how to do it and then kind of wrecking it. It's in a way, it's part of the job. It's part of the process of learning. But I also feel for you big time.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to not be too precious. Oh, I'm like still full screened. My apologies. Please look at Cody's.
I
Cody's
have
is
been
beautiful.
going through multiple different designs because I am being very indecisive right now, so is no big deal. Nobody missed anything.
Okay. But I feel like mine was like I went back to working as if they could only see like a portion of my screen, and I was like zoomed in weird. Nobody could see something. I hope that wasn't too long. This is gonna end up being, I don't even know if this is like fantasy anymore. This might end up evolving into a little bit more like fantasy roots, but you know how maybe it's just because I've been watching these videos a lot, but have you seen those videos of how people paint in reverse to make those old-timey signs for like a barber shop or
Yes.
something?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of giving me that vibe right now. You know what, I've got a way easier way that I can do this step. I'm going to draw a straight line, and then I am going to lasso this and turn it. As if it was always meant to be this way. As if this was my intention from the start. There we go. Now I don't have to start. I've been drawing at a slant, and it's not a slant my hand works well at. Deselect. Okay. I can sense that I am becoming too precious with this.
I am too. I am just like so indecisive right now. Usually when we get on these streams, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing. But I'm actually, this is quite the challenge, you guys.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Because I can't, you know, I'm not drawing a face. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
usually drawing a face, you know?
What I'm gonna throw it to chat because we have a purple theme. We
Mm-hmm.
have a purple color palette that we need to do. How do you guys think like what do you is there any particular item or anything that you think that I should put into this like or design that you think that I should put into this letter here? I know that's such a vague question, but I'm just wondering if I can get any bounce any ideas off of chat here because I'm feeling a little challenged, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question because you kind of, you have your sketch and your sketch definitely is going places. Like, but sometimes filling in those suggestion blanks, right?
Right.
Feels a little awkward. Like, what am I actually gonna put here now that the concept is down?
Right.
And you'd be surprised how often it doesn't go well when you like, you have a great concept, but it's just not really coming out, you know,
Yeah.
properly. I find that happens to me a lot when I'm like, oh, this is a great idea, but when I need to detail it, sometimes the vibe is gone.
Mhm.
So I'm not gonna worry that these lines I'm putting in are different weights, by the way. I don't think I have the patience to make it perfect, and I want to actually paint. So, all right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna duplicate this, and I'm gonna add a clipping mask to it. And then I'm going to come in with my eraser on a soft round. I'm going to grab this, maybe. And I'm going to fade that. Uh-oh, that's cool. That's pretty neat. Another thing I could do is click that, is I could grab the color of the dark at the top
Mhm.
and kind of fade that up into the dark. Could also be neat. I might actually like that. I don't know. What do you guys think, chat? The light fade or the dark fade? Let me know. I would love the addition of what are those flowers you painted recently that I was like, I could look at this forever. Were they violets? Like adding some cool vine, because you got like your vines and your like nature motif. Might be cool to add like some flowers growing.
Yeah.
Jack says a whole entire castle in the last 10 minutes.
I'll throw a little castle.
No way.
Into the letter here.
Oh boy.
Here is a castle and a mountainscape, and we're doing it, guys. We're doing it.
No
Putting an entire mountainscape into the letter.
Oh my gosh.
Trees.
Hold on, I'm gonna full screen you because you're actually doing it. There is a legit whole castle in there now. I can't believe you just did that.
Got the mountainscape. We're doing it. Yep.
Go full SpongeBob mode. Some of this and some of that. I love it. Oh my gosh.
There we go.
It is like a legit.
I've done it.
Wow. Wow.
Don't say I never did anything for you, chat.
Yeah, if we could get some clapping emojis in the chat, that would be fabulous. I need a round of applause for
throw some
Cody Bear.
trees into another section here, maybe, and yeah, and I'll throw some stars in the top section, like it's the sky.
Wow. Well done. I'm loving it. That is a whole scene. I can't believe that. I cannot believe that.
I told you I just needed the inspo.
Yeah. She did poll the chat. She was like, "Hey, I need you to tell me some things." Looking at illuminated manuscripts might be a source of inspiration. Wow, that's a great suggestion.
Totally.
This from Michael Brown in the chat. I am adding some very subtle color to mine, by the way, and I feel like I definitely have some room to grow here. I ended up making it very soft, very subtle, and I think that there's definitely room for me to kind of accentuate a lot of the depth on here, and I would have, honestly, I could in the last, how many minutes do we have left? We have like 3-4 minutes left. I might actually jump in with my dissolve brush, surprising no one, and kind of add a little bit of dimension, because I feel like I want to answer that question better of like, how do I, add more dimension and make things kind of pop out. Let's see. I'm going to go back to there. Okay. I would do that by grabbing my brush. Let's grab like a darker and start kind of adding a little texture, adding a little bit of a little grit, and starting to kind of pull some of these darker elements into being. Let's grab some of the brighter color here, actually, and start like lightening that up. And then what I really like to do is, this is something that I would do on the rest of it to kind of go forward even more and pull stuff out, is I would kind of come in and select these areas around these outlines and grab a color and kind of start to like add some shading around them. Because this would allow me to kind of signify that there are elements that are kind of like pushed in deeper. You see how that goes? And kind of going through the entire design of it would give it that depth, almost like there's varying layers of this, right? And it's made out of some material. If I decide like maybe to take some kind of paper texture or wooden texture or maybe marble texture,
Yeah.
I could come over that and like kind of add these little sunken in spots, which could be very, very fun. But I think we're pretty much coming up on time here, which is wild. I feel like I always am like, the first half of the show, I'm like, wow, we got a whole half of a show left. And the second half of the show, I'm
I
like,
know.
where am I?
I didn't even get to coloring. Oh my gosh, I spent so much time faffing about. I didn't even.
Faffing about.
I feel
Yes.
I feel like your letters need some sparkles.
Definitely.
We are,
definitely.
you know,
But we're at
like
time.
I could totally see some sparkles on those letters.
I might have to come in later and add some sparkles. That is all
Yeah.
the time we have for today, though. So thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned because we've got more stuff coming up with our partnership with the Women of Type and Good Type, and we hope to see you around for those segments. Adios, folks.
Thanks, guys. Bye.